thank you for coming. My name, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Yvette Pearson, and I'm going to be talking to you today about transferable skills for a PA, my experience of transitioning out of a PA role into something else. So, what gives me the right to tell you about myself? Well, I worked in administration for about 14 years. I started off as an office junior, aged 18, a long time ago, working for an insurance company, and that was a pretty rubbish job. My boss wasn't very nice. You probably heard about him, might have heard about him the other day. He basically sat me down for 45 minutes one day to explain to me why my signature wasn't legible and how it should be, apparently. Then I went to work for a stockbrokers as a team assistant, doing some filing, travel. I was still only 18 at that time. Met someone there that I'm still friends with, head of marketing, a really great friend there, and that was a really good experience. It was before the crash. There was lots of money being spent. We used to go out for drinks most lunchtimes. As an 18-year-old, it was the best. Then I went to go and work for an investment bank. So I went to go and work for Credit Suisse. I was 19. It was, again, still just before the crash. I was terrified walking up. I remember on my first day going into Canary Wharf, taking a photo of the building because I was so excited about working for an investment bank. That didn't last very long. Although I was there for about 6 years, I got promoted while I was there to more of a business manager role, but working sort of 12, 13-hour days, asking your boss if you can go home early when you want to go home before 6 o'clock didn't sit very well with me, so decided to jack that in. I then went to go and work for an asset management firm. So there I was working for some traders, I was working for some sort of equity investors. They invested in some of the emerging markets, so I was dealing with all these weird and wonderful visas, all the translation services. I remember speaking to a lady called Twinkie, who was a Chinese translator, who was brilliant. So that was really exciting as well. From there I moved internally to be PA to the COO. So I was getting involved in lots of the operational stuff, IT, HR, and all that kind of stuff. He was a great boss, and I'll come back to him a bit later. I left there and went to work for a startup asset management firm. There was about 6 or 7 people working there. Each one of those people had their own office. So I sat out on the little floor all by myself, which was horrible. And it was there that I had my dinosaur boss, who made me go and refile his business cards in a Rolodex because he didn't want me to put them in his phone because it would be too difficult for him to scroll through all of his contacts. True story. And then I went to, I joined another startup, a fintech, which is actually where I am now. The COO here, that I was a PA to, is the CEO where I am now. I think it's testament to him that I wanted to go and work for him again, and so he invited me over, and the company didn't even exist. I just turned up in a borrowed meeting room, no computers, no phones, no company, and just said, let's try this out. And that was really good, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm still there. So what am I now? So now I am the head of business intelligence. The company's not MI5. I travel around, I meet a lot of people, and I do a lot of data analytics. On the data analytics side, I am actually running a PA survey at the moment to look at the sort of how we are in terms of not just what do we earn and where do we work and how happy we are, but sort of looking at things like what's more valuable, a degree or a second language, and all that kind of stuff. So if you, at the very end, you'll see my website. Go on my website, there's a little link to the survey. It probably takes about 20 to 30 minutes to fill in. It's quite comprehensive, but the data analytics that I've learned in my current role will allow me to take that information and put it into hopefully a really useful report if somebody is looking to change roles. So one of the first skills that we have is dealing with egos, dealing with a boss that wants to mark your minutes like you're a school child. I have to, in my current role, I have to deal with managing partners of law firms senior accountants, owners of businesses. And that can be quite scary because you think that I'm still in the mindset that I'm a support function, but I'm going to speak to these people and I'm giving them a service. So they need me as much as I need them. And that was really difficult for me to get my head around. But the fact that we all deal with these big egos, and I certainly have for my whole career, has given me that little bit of confidence to know that I know how to deal with this person. I know that they're all talk. I know that they're probably going to want to shout at me just to make themselves look good, and that's okay, I can deal with that. Trying to convince people to give me their time. I'm not asking for someone's time on behalf of someone else, I'm asking them for their time on behalf of myself. Again, that's really scary, and you have to have that element of confidence, and sometimes I feel like I'm looking at myself externally, trying to get myself to do some of these things. Why would this person want to see me? Trying to get them to take me seriously. I don't have a degree. I don't have any experience in corporate finance, accounting, law. I don't even have any experience in data. But here I am trying to tell somebody that I am the expert in what I do, and that's what we do all the time. We're trying to tell people that we're the expert in what we do, whatever that is, whether that's booking someone's flight, sorting out meeting rooms, and all the other stuff that we do, we are the expert at that, and trying to convince other people that we are the expert carries on throughout your career. Trying to, come in. Sorry. It's okay. Trying to manage people, again, this is our bread and butter. This is what we do all the time, coordinating colleagues, clients, our bosses, everything. Trying to get feedback from people. When we're typing up minutes and action points, trying to get people to follow up, trying to get them to do what they said they were going to do in the meeting, and not turning around to you 2 weeks before the next meeting going, I don't know what that was. That wasn't me. That action wasn't mine. Yes, it is. I have to translate accountancy speak and lawyer speak into data scientist speak. And we do that kind of translation all the time. You're on the phone, somebody rings up for your boss, and you kind of put them on hold and say to your boss, do you want to speak to so-and-so? Oh, just tell him to F off, I don't want to speak to him. And then you put them off mute and go, I'm sorry, he's unavailable at the moment. Translating ridiculous talk into appropriate business language is what we do all the time. Delegating. We are notoriously bad at delegating. We like to do everything ourselves. I know I certainly don't like, if somebody else is going to do it, they're going to mess it up, I know it. I recently had an intern come and do some work with me, and that was a massive learning curve for me because I had to trust him to do stuff. He was a lot younger than me and, quite frankly, a lot smarter than me. So I had to give him a task to do, explain how I wanted the end result to look, and then leave him alone to let him figure it out himself. And that was really difficult. So that's one of the things that we are notoriously bad at, but a skill that will help you more and more as you progress, either in your PA role or if you go outside of it. Managing up, trying to get your boss to go to the meeting that they're supposed to go to that they really don't want to go to, trying to get people to give you board slides and information for board packs and all that kind of stuff. I still have to do that now. I have to get compliance to sign off my press releases. When I'm doing a data story, it has to go through marketing, has to go through compliance. I have to manage all of those people to do what I need them to do to get that press release out, because I know senior management want to see that press article out in the media. I manage myself, which is great. I manage my own diary. This is my actual diary from this week. And the purple bits are the personal stuff. So here we are, this is my slot today, right now. The orange stuff are the really important work meetings that I'm going to. Green is travel. You know, I don't know if you're anything like me, like to colour coordinate your diary. I wanted to actually just highlight this bit here. This is what I did last night. I know that it's Suicide Prevention Month, and I was having a conversation with my intern a few weeks ago, and I said, I need to leave early, I've got an appointment. And I kind of thought, well, I shouldn't really tell him what I'm doing, it's a bit personal, it's a bit... I thought, you know what, no, I am going to tell him what I'm going to go and... I am going to tell him. I go and see a therapist every 1 to 2 weeks, and I'm not ashamed to say it. and I was sitting in Costa downstairs just before I came up here, and it made me realise there's a little padlock on here. This is my secret appointment. And my diary is open to the entire company. Everyone can see what I do, although it drives me nuts when people ring me up and say, can you do this meeting? Look at my diary. So when I was downstairs, I actually took this off private. So all my future therapist appointments, everyone in the company can see, and it will say therapist, not Vicky, who is my therapist. So in light of, everyone says it's good to talk about stuff and it's good to focus on your mental health. Whoever actually stands up and says, I go and see a therapist, I go and look after my mental health, well, I do. So we should all do it. And it's great. I book my own travel. I'm sure everyone sitting here would never ever let anyone else book their travel for them. They would just mess it up. I travel around the country, nowhere exotic, normally places like Manchester or Exeter. And sometimes I'm travelling with some senior management, and I should really let their PA, the office manager, book his travel. But knowing that I'm travelling with him, if anything happens and goes wrong, I'm going to be the one that's going to have to pick up all the pieces and try and fix it all. So I say to him, it's okay, I'll book all your travel, it's fine. And managing my own workload and priorities, that's really difficult, and that's something that as PAs and EAs, we tend to forget that our workload is our own workload. We're so busy doing other things for other people that we forget that that's actually our workload, not necessarily someone else's. So suddenly I have a long list of things to do, and they're all things that have come into my head, things that I think I need to do, and then I write them down and I do them. That's it's really kind of going from a firefighting role to this is my job and these are all the things I've got to do. It's quite difficult. It's quite sometimes you sit there and you think, well, what do I need to do? And then you have to think of things to do. And trying to manage yourself, I sometimes just think of myself as another person. So I think of myself as the executive I used to be the PA for, or someone in my team that I used to manage travel for, and I book the travel and I look after myself as if I was looking after somebody else. And that helps. That helps a lot, because the meetings that I'm going to are the ones that the executive would normally have had to go to. And they're the same thing. They're meeting the same people, and quite often the executive is coming along as well. So the final transferable skill. So this is meant to be appearing one at a time. So I've just sort of ruined the spoiler alert. The imposter syndrome. And this is a big thing for me personally. And I think a lot of us feel it quite often without necessarily realising what it actually is, although it does get spoken about a little bit more frequently now that I've noticed. It's sort of feeling like you don't deserve to be where you are, like you're going to be found out, like somebody's going to tap on your shoulder and go, sorry, we didn't mean to give you that project, we didn't really mean to give you that promotion. And I felt like that, and I still do. Being given a job title, Head of Business Intelligence, what? I kind of think, sometimes I find myself saying, well, it's just the title to help me with my job, it's not really what I do. I'm not really head of anything, I'm not really business intelligence. And I find myself almost apologising for the job title that I've got, because it is the job that I do. And that, I think, stays with us throughout our entire careers. It's primarily a female thing, but it does appear in men as well. No matter how successful we are, no matter how good at our jobs we are, there is that little niggling voice in the back of our minds which says to us, someone's going to find me out, someone's going to tell me that I'm not actually very good at this job, not actually, I'm just here just to, be the token female and all that kind of stuff, which I have had. When you're sitting I was sitting in a room a couple of weeks ago presenting to the owner of quite a large accountancy firm, and I sat there waiting for everyone to come in. There was a room about this sort of size. There was about 15, 16 people coming in. About 5 or 6 were from my company, and the rest were from this other company, including the owner. And they were walking in, and I just suddenly felt the colour drain from my face, and I thought, shit, how is he going to take me seriously? he's going to think I'm some child that's come in to tell him about numbers. And I had to really compose myself, and I could feel my voice shaking as I started speaking, because I was there. I was giving the presentation to everyone. I wasn't the introducer. I wasn't there taking the minutes. I wasn't there, just to make up the numbers. I was the main show, and that was really scary. And I had to just force myself to do it because of the feelings that we get in our life that make us feel like we're not good enough, and most of those do come from ourselves. There's actually a book that I read that helped me loads with this. It's called Secret Thoughts of Successful Women, and it's a fantastic book. It basically explains to you how movie stars and high court judges all feel the same. So you look at a female that's in a really successful position and you think, oh, she's so amazing, she's so brilliant, how is she, she's so confident, and I want to be more like her. And she's sitting there with exactly the same feelings as everyone else is sitting there going, are they going to find me out? They're not going to think I'm good enough. They're not going to, they've given me this A-list, blockbuster movie major role. And somebody's going to come and tell me, actually, oh, I made a mistake, I should have gone to someone else. Kate Winslet is somebody that experiences imposter syndrome, and I'm a big fan, and I just think, wow, she's amazing. She's done so many things, but even she's just the same as everyone else, just the same. So I've zipped through this because I realised I was very short of time, and I feel like I've just kind of finished already, which I sort of have. So. I know that you guys want to go and see lots of the other exhibitions. The other person started speaking in about 20 minutes here. If you've got any questions, I'll be around for the next few hours or so. If you want to get in touch, drop me a message. If you have any questions now, please let me know or come and speak to me afterwards. Please go and have a look at my survey as well, because I think that's going to be really good. Yes? At the end of my career, on a beach, hopefully. On a beach. I'm actually working on a lot of projects myself on the side. So do I envisage being at my day job for the next 5 years? That's a bit iffy. Would I leave to go and do something else? No, not really. Unless the company got bought out and I got made redundant or something like that, then no. I think my role is probably, if I did have to go and find another role, it would be like a chief of staff type role, I think. The halfway house between an EA and a COO. So you're effectively, you can go to meetings on behalf of the CEO. You, rather than just collating the stuff for the management packs and the board packs, you're actually producing some of the stuff, doing some kind of internal analytics and internal data capture and that kind of stuff. So I think that's where I would see my role going if it had to. Otherwise, I'm working on some of my other projects. So hopefully my sort of 5-year plan might be to go and work for myself. But thank you.
Data analytics is a specific skill. How have you acquired that? Did you take on external training, internal training? How did you get that? Because that's not part of a regular EAPA job description.
It's not. So when I was first asked to take on this role, I actually said to my boss, I can't do it. I'm not doing it. The data analytics role that I have effectively straddles data analytics, marketing and sales. We have a fancy data model, which is basically like, your Experian credit score. It's like that for businesses, and we've built it in-house. So I get the data scientists to just tell me stuff. I ask them questions, I sat with them. I learned some of the words that they use. And it was very scary. I didn't get any external training. My job is to present that model to accountants and lawyers, and I have to explain to them how it works. I have to be able to answer their questions. Where does the data come from? All that kind of stuff. And it's things I've just picked up as I go. We have a great person working with us who looks like the Wheatos scientist, and he's great, and I've seen him present it as well. It's his model, and so it's listening to people and picking up things as I go. I'm not sure exactly what specific course I would be able to do that would be able to help me, but it is quite, I don't like it when people ask me, oh, what's your degree in, Yvette? have you got a degree in maths? No, I've got a degree in nothing, and I used to be a PA. And it kind of takes quite a lot of effort for me to say that with pride, even though I am really proud of where I've come from and what I've done. When you're sitting there in front of a partner at an accountancy firm, you sort of feel like you have to pick yourself up even more, even though what you've done is more than adequate.
You've got a degree in common sense, which not many people
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
I find that quite degrading when you look at job adverts and they only want degrees. That's very degrading.
It is. Yeah, I was applying for a job probably about 10 years ago now, and it was an EAPA job, and they said you need a degree, and I said, a degree in what? And they said anything. I said, really?
Please.
I hung up the phone. Exactly. Do you have a question?
I was going to ask the same question, how you were sort of
Okay.
supported in that transition by your boss or people around you.
I think I was lucky that it was a newly created role, and management didn't really know what was going to happen with it. So I sort of had to make it my own as well. So I sat down on my first day, not being a PA but doing this other role, thinking, what do I do except close all the calendars down that I haven't got to manage anymore? It was great. I can't remember when I'd ever had my own calendar open at Week to View anymore. But we're a start-up company. We've been going about 5 years. There is very much a roll your sleeves up and get stuff done culture where I work, and I can literally go around, talk to anyone and ask them to explain stuff to me. And I put myself in that position as well. I say to anyone in the company, if you want to come along and have me explain what I do or tell me what you do, then please do. I actually just set up a session when I get back from holiday with some people in our other office to present the data model to our internal colleagues. And I said, if anyone else wants to come, please come along. I want you to ask a question that I don't know the answer to, because I'd rather you ask me that than someone in, an accountancy firm, and I'm standing there like, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. So thank you. Any other questions? No? Well, please do get in touch. I do like hearing from people, so just drop me a message and say hello. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.